So much of what defines our lives, our discoveries, and our understanding of the universe is unseen. Gravity, electricity, time, consciousness, all invisible forces guiding the visible world. And yet, people often trust only what they can measure, what they can touch, what they can prove. But I have learned something essential. The most powerful truths cannot always be proven first. They must be believed before they can be understood. When I worked on the theory of relativity, I wasn't solving a puzzle that already existed. I was imagining a new one. I was stepping into the unknown, guided not by certainty, but by a quiet conviction that there was more to reality than the senses reveal. Believing in the unseen is not blind faith. It is the highest form of intelligence, a recognition that the universe is far more mysterious than our limited perceptions can capture. I often said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited to what we already know, but imagination embraces the infinite, the unseen realm from which all new realities emerge. Think about light. For centuries, we did not see its dual nature, both wave and particle, and yet it was always so. Our eyes are not the measure of truth. Our intuition is. The unseen is not a void. It is the womb of creation. Every discovery begins there, as a spark of belief in something invisible. That spark drives the scientist to the laboratory, the artist to the canvas, the dreamer to the stars. And if there is one thing I have learned, it is this. The invisible forces, love, curiosity, creativity, consciousness, are the true architects of the universe. They build what the eyes cannot. They give meaning to what the hands can hold. So when you look around and see only limits, remember that what you cannot see is far greater. The unseen field of possibility is infinite, and it is waiting for those who dare to believe in it. When you look at the universe, you see form, planets, stars, bodies, machines. But behind all that form is something invisible, something holding everything together. You cannot touch gravity, yet it binds galaxies. You cannot see the fabric of space-time, yet it carries you through every moment of existence. I have spent my life fascinated by the unseen forces that shape reality. People often think of science as the study of things we can measure. But true science begins with what we cannot see. Every equation, every experiment begins first in the imagination, in that vast, invisible space of thought. When I worked on the theory of relativity, there was no map, no evidence pointing the way. I had to see what was not yet visible, to trust a vision that lived only in my mind. I pictured myself riding alongside a beam of light. I asked questions no one else was asking. And from that invisible exercise of imagination, the entire theory was born. That is what it means to believe in the unseen. Not to ignore reason, but to go beyond it. To understand that truth is larger than logic. You see, there is an invisible order behind everything. Behind sound, there is vibration. Behind matter, there is energy. Behind energy, there is consciousness. The awareness that observes, questions, dreams. And that awareness, my friends, is the greatest unseen force of all. We often speak of discovery as if we are finding something new. But in truth, we are only remembering what has always been there, hidden behind the veil of perception. The unseen has been patiently waiting for someone brave enough to imagine it into view. So when you find yourself doubting, when the path ahead looks uncertain, remember this: everything that will one day be visible must first be believed in. A great musician hears a symphony in silence before it's ever written. A scientist feels the pull of a truth before it's ever proven. A dreamer sees a new world long before it's built. To believe in the unseen is to cooperate with creation itself. It is to trust the intelligence of the universe, to let go of the need to see before you believe. Because in truth, the unseen is not some faraway mystery. It lives within you, in your thoughts, in your feelings, in the quiet knowing that there is more. The invisible forces, love, intuition, curiosity, imagination. These are the true energies.
When you look around you, the lights, the machines, the communication that travels through the air, all of it was once unseen. The world you live in today was born from invisible forces that most people doubted, denied, or dismissed. When I first spoke about wireless energy, they laughed. When I said that energy could move through the ether, through the unseen fabric of the world, they said it was impossible. But the unseen has always been my greatest companion, my true teacher. You see, to me, the universe is alive, vibrant with frequencies beyond the limits of our senses. Every form, every object, every being is but a receiver tuned to different vibrations. The unseen world hums with energy, and if you attune your mind to its frequency, you can draw from it infinite power. I discovered that the key to all creation lies in vibration. Everything that exists from the smallest atom to the grandest star, moves in rhythm, in harmony. When we understand that, we no longer feel separate from the universe. We become conductors of its symphony. I once said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And I meant it literally, because the unseen world is the world of vibration. Thought itself is vibration. Emotion is vibration. Intention is vibration. And when these align, when your thought, emotion, and intention vibrate in harmony, you begin to draw unseen possibilities into visible form. People thought my inventions came from machines, but they came from silence, from listening, from being still enough to hear what the unseen world was whispering. In those quiet hours, I would close my eyes and see every circuit, every spark, every current flowing in my mind's eye before I ever built it in matter. I could watch the unseen energy move. I could feel its rhythm. That is how invention is born, from communion with the invisible. There is no boundary between science and spirit. The invisible forces that power your soul are the same forces that power the cosmos. To deny the unseen is to deny the essence of existence itself. One day, humanity will awaken to this truth, that everything is connected, that the air between us is not empty, but filled with potential, that our thoughts ripple through the ether and shape the very reality we live in. So believe in the unseen, not as a matter of blind faith, but as an act of higher intelligence. Because those who dare to trust the invisible become architects of the impossible. When you believe in the unseen, you align with the true power that governs all creation. You stop chasing miracles and start becoming one.
When I look back at everything I created, the Macintosh, the iPhone, Pixar, I realize something simple but profound. Every great thing I ever did began as something unseen, an idea, a spark, a vision that no one else could see but me. You see, believing in the unseen isn't just about faith. It's about trust. Trust in your intuition. Trust in that quiet inner voice that says, go this way. Most people drown that voice out with noise, with logic, with fear, with doubt. But I learned early on that the unseen voice within you always knows the path before you do. When I was young, I took a calligraphy class that had no practical purpose. There was no way to predict that years later, it would shape the typography of every Mac computer. That's the thing about the unseen. It connects the dots, but only when you look backward. You have to trust that the dots will connect in the future. The unseen isn't mystical. It's the intelligence that designs everything. It's the creative force that speaks through intuition, art, curiosity, and courage. Every truly great creator learns to obey that voice. People told me not to follow my gut. They said, be realistic. But the people who change the world, they're never realistic. They believe in what no one else can see. When I walked into that garage with Woz, there was no company, no investors, no future. Just an idea. But we saw what didn't exist yet. We saw a computer on every desk, a device in every hand, a connection between art and technology that no one else dared to imagine. And that's the secret. Vision isn't seeing what is, it's seeing what could be. It's believing in the unseen and acting as if it's already real. If you can hold a vision in your mind long enough, if you can nurture it, refine it, and stay faithful to it, the world will eventually catch up. Reality bends to the strength of unwavering imagination. People think I was obsessed with perfection. I wasn't. I was obsessed with truth, with bringing the unseen potential of an idea into perfect form. That's what design is. That's what creativity is. That's what life is. The unseen is where innovation lives. It's where love, intuition, and genius reside. You don't find it by looking outward. You find it by going inward. So believe in your vision. Believe in the unseen forces that guide you, your intuition, your heart, your curiosity. They are your compass. They are the bridge between imagination and reality. And one day when people look at what you've built, they'll call it genius. But you'll know the truth. You just trusted what you couldn't see until everyone else could. You know, people often look at success and think it's about intelligence, timing, or luck. But in truth, it's about vision. It's about seeing what others can't and believing in it long before it becomes real. Everything meaningful I ever created, every product, every company, began as something invisible, a thought, a feeling, an idea that no one else could see. I learned that the world doesn't change because of what you can prove. It changes because of what you believe. When I was a kid, I remember tinkering with electronics in my parents' garage. To most people, it was just a pile of wires and circuits. But to me, it was potential, something alive, waiting to be awakened. And that's what the unseen really is. It's potential. It's the canvas of creation, waiting for you to pick up the brush. The unseen is not empty. It's full of everything that could ever be. It's the space where ideas form, where intuition speaks, and where innovation begins. And the only difference between people who create extraordinary things and those who don't is this: some trust what they can't see, others don't. When we started Apple, there was no roadmap, there was no guarantee. But I had a feeling, a knowing, that computers weren't just for engineers or corporations. They were tools for the mind, instruments for creativity. That belief guided every choice I made, even when it didn't make sense to anyone else. You have to trust that voice inside of you, that whisper that says, "This is right. This matters." Logic will tell you it's too risky, that you're too young, too old, too inexperienced. But intuition, the unseen wisdom, will always guide you exactly where you're meant to be. I used to tell people, don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. That's because most people live disconnected from the unseen part of themselves, their own inner voice. They live through fear, comparison, and approval. But everything truly great is born in silence, in solitude, in moments when you dare to listen to yourself. The unseen speaks softly. It never yells. It's that quiet pull toward your purpose, the idea that won't leave you alone, the vision that keeps returning even when you try to forget it. Follow that. That's your truth. When I was building the first iPhone, people thought it was crazy. A phone with no buttons, a screen you touch? They said it couldn't work, that people wouldn't accept it. But I believed in what wasn't there yet. I saw a world connected through simplicity and beauty. And when you hold on to that vision long enough, reality eventually catches up. Believing in the unseen is not about fantasy. It's about faith in your creative power. It's about knowing that imagination is the most practical tool in existence because it builds tomorrow. When you live this way, guided by what you feel, what you envision, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You stop following trends and start creating them. You stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself permission. You see, death taught me something powerful. When I faced cancer, I realized that everything external fades. The awards, the money, the applause. What remains is the unseen. Your love, your purpose, your impact. That's what life is really about. So when I say believe in the unseen, I don't just mean ideas or innovation. I mean believe in yourself, the unseen force that animates you. Believe in your heart. Believe in your intuition. Believe that your dreams exist for a reason, not to tease you, but to guide you. The world will try to shape you. It will tell you what's practical, what's normal, what's realistic. Ignore that. Reality is just what exists right now. But everything that will ever exist lives first in the unseen. You are a creator, whether you realize it or not. Every thought, every choice, every act of courage sends ripples into the universe. And one day, those ripples become waves that change everything. So trust your vision. Trust the unseen. Because the people who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones who do.
Everything that truly matters cannot be seen with the eyes. The most powerful forces in the universe, gravity, energy, imagination, love, are all invisible. I've spent my life searching for truth in equations, yet I discovered that the deepest truths are not written on chalkboard, but felt in the quiet stillness of the mind. The unseen is not empty space. It is the womb of creation. When we speak of faith, intuition, or inspiration, we are speaking of that same unseen field that gives birth to galaxies. I once said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited to what we see. Imagination embraces the unseen, the infinite. Every discovery begins there, in the invisible realm of thought. Think of it: electricity, radio waves, relativity, all unseen forces that shape your life. They existed long before we understood them. The same is true for the forces that guide your destiny. Believe in the unseen, not as a fantasy, but as a law of nature. For when the mind opens to possibilities beyond its senses, it becomes the bridge between thought and reality. That bridge is where genius lives.
Everything is energy. This table, your body, your thoughts, all vibrating at different frequencies. The unseen world is not void. It is the foundation of all existence. I used to say, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That was not poetry, it was truth. I could see in my mind what others could not yet imagine. I built machines from thought, engines from silence, light from the invisible. When I spoke of wireless power, people laughed. But the unseen world was speaking, and I listened. Every great idea comes from tuning your mind to the right frequency. You are a receiver. The universe is the transmitter. If you wish to create, to innovate, to evolve, align yourself with that vibration. When thought, emotion, and will become one frequency, the unseen becomes visible. The unseen is the field where invention is born. Silence is the laboratory of creation. Believe in what you cannot yet perceive, and one day, the world will see what only your inner eye could.
Every great creation I ever made began as something unseen, an idea, a feeling, a vision. I learned that the world doesn't change because of what's proven. It changes because someone believed in something invisible and refused to let it go. The unseen is your intuition, that quiet voice that says, go this way. You won't always understand it, and others will doubt it, but it's always right. When I built Apple, there was no guarantee, just a belief that technology could serve art and art could serve humanity. People called it impossible until it wasn't. That's the power of trusting what no one else can see. When you follow your intuition, life unfolds like a design you didn't even know you were sketching. Every piece connects. Every setback teaches. And when you look back, the dots align perfectly. Believing in the unseen is believing in yourself, your vision, your heart, your inner compass. Don't live trapped by other people's limits. Reality is built by those who dare to see beyond it. Because in the end, the ones who believe in the unseen are the ones who make it seen.